Hello everyone, Alex here, and I want to bring up a certain interesting point. It's kind of an interesting dynamic because, so back in the 90s, which is when Bernie wrote his book here, basically, essentially, wrote that book, his autobiography of his, or political autobiography. He mentioned how in the 1990s the Democratic Party went more towards the right, as one could say. However, and now so back then only half of them helped wanted welfare reform. Now I hypothesize that it's more like half the other way for the Republicans. Half of the Republicans, instead of all the Republicans being against it, half of them are against it, and the other half want to help out people with agriculture and all this other stuff. So we'll see that here, and as I show you these. Let me just, alright, video capture device, yeah, that off. And let me mute my microphone as I show you a couple of videos.
RosLehtinen and her husband are rolling out a new public service announcement.
Miami Congresswoman Ileana RosLehtinen and her husband Dexter are part of a minority. They've accepted their son Rodrigo, who was born Amanda, but made the decision while in college to begin living a life as a man.
Hello everyone, my name is Rodrigo. I am an organizing and training fellow with the National Gay and Lesbian Task Force.
The Lehtinen family was at Miami-Dade College to roll out this new public service announcement about transgender equality and family acceptance.
Family is about acceptance and love. By sharing our family's journey, we hope to get the message out there, especially for families that sometimes don't know where to turn.
The Congresswoman's husband is a former U.S. attorney and Vietnam veteran wounded in combat.
Gender identity and changes in gender identity don't change the person in terms of their character or in terms of their integrity, their work ethic, and in terms of their
It's estimated that 60% of transgender people are rejected by their families, facing a difficult life transition alone without
today. Sorry, I've been very nice to you, although I could probably maybe not be based on the way you have treated me, but I wouldn't do that. But you know what? We
blamed the rise of ISIS on Republican hawks. Now, you later said that statement, you could have said it better. But the statement went on, and you said, quote, everything they've talked about in foreign policy, they've been wrong for the last 20 years. Why are you so quick to blame your own party?
First of all, only ISIS is responsible for the terrorism. Only ISIS is responsible for the depravity. But we do have to examine, how are we going to defeat ISIS? I've got a proposal. I'm the leading voice in America for not arming the allies of ISIS. I've been fighting amidst a lot of opposition from both Hillary Clinton as well as some Republicans who wanted to send arms to the allies of ISIS. ISIS rides around in $1 billion worth of U.S. Humvees. It's a disgrace. We ought to stop it. We shouldn't fund our enemies, for goodness sakes. So we didn't create ISIS. ISIS created themselves, but we will stop them. And one of the ways we stop them is by not funding them and by not arming them.
Governor Kasich, you chose to expand Medicaid in your state, unlike several other governors on this stage tonight, and it is all
greatest gains, abundant school choice, high standards, robust accountability, ending social promotion in third grade, real school choice across the board, challenging the teachers union and beating them is the way to go. And Florida's low-income kids had the greatest gains inside the country. Our graduation rate improved by 50%. That's what I'm for.
Senator Rubio, why is Governor Bush wrong on Common Core?
Well, first of I too believe in curriculum reform. It's critically important in the 21st century. We do need curriculum reform, and it should happen at the state and local level. That is where educational policy belongs. Because if a parent is unhappy with what their child is being taught in school, they can go to that local school board or their state legislature or their governor and get it changed. Here's the problem with Common Core. The Department of Education, like every federal agency, will never be satisfied. They will not stop with it being a suggestion. They will turn it into a mandate. In fact, what they will begin to say to local communities is, you will not get federal money unless you do things the way we want you to do it. And they will use Common Core or any other requirements that exist nationally to force it down the throats of our people in our states.
And you agree with your old friend?
He's definitely my friend, and I think the states ought to create these standards. And if
All right then. So let's take a look on here, opensecrets.org. Very good site, I tell you what. Now, I will put a disclaimer here. There, as you can see here, there's Goldman Sachs and there's a bunch of other financial institutions. Even though some of them are local, like this one in Mason, Kentucky, I guess, for Rand Paul. All these 5 up here. Not for this Mike Boss person, but whatever, and also not for. Well, actually, there's Exelon Corp. I think that's fossil fuels, as I checked. You can find out for yourself. I won't be using up too much of your time. I just want to quickly get to these now that the videos are done, and just sort of show you for yourself, how these people have, not been too completely corrupted by money. In particular, Ms. Stefanik over here, who all her top 5 contributors are financial institutions. Even though, I guess 2 or 3 of them are probably they're probably local institutions. But yeah, securities investors. However, let's take a look at what she has brought up for the policy area, finance and financial sector. This ties into Scott Tipton, who mostly through the financial institutions. I'll give you that. But let's take a look at this. The Taylor Act of 2015, taking account of institutions with low operation risk Act. Well, what do you know? There's also, I guess I'll get out of this. Oh wait, let me show you the other ones, right? I'm not sure about this one. This one is for community banks, so that's good. Then some of these are for coins because they just happen to be classified as such. Financial transparency, that's always good. Community banks, again, good. And this one, the Clear Act. Brought up by another Republican. I'm not going to look into them, but you can see what the point is here. Community Lending Enhancement and Regulatory Relief Act. Well, it looks okay. Looks alright. So there's that. So then there's this person, Scott Tipton, another person who does take a lot of money from the banks, from the investing institutions, and also real estate. Now, the thing about Scott Tipton over here is... right, I already mentioned. This is the guy who brought up the... wait a minute, is that... Okay, yeah. Not amendments. It's kind of annoying that you have to keep, saying, okay, you gotta have the bills here. So there's the Taylor Act. And there's also some, water... national forests and water rights. So actually supporting the people who need their land, land to be properly controlled. I mean that's why there's not only a Secretary of the Interior, there's also a Secretary of Agriculture, and I think there's something else like that. I don't quite remember. Ron and Rand Paul would be great as as such secretaries. By the way, I imagine that all the candidates they could do well in cabinet positions quite well. Now there's Mike Bost. Okay, this one's different. So not so much with the financial institutions, and in fact, oh, how could I forget? So most of these people, like, they take a lot of money from retirees. This person, Stefanica's welfare bit, Rand Paul, Marco Rubio, and then RosLehtinen, and not so much. But then there's pro-Israel people, so I guess those tend to be retired folks. And this person, Sean Duffy. But first, let me get to Bost over here. So this guy, let's see, sponsored legislation helping out veterans. Right off the top, right at the beginning, two acts to support our veterans. So that's not really something that you'd think the Republicans do, but no, it happens to be that way. Some Republicans like John McCain might be against it, but other than that, it's good. And then you see this agriculture, American trade, and small businesses. So that's all good legislation. Next, Sean Duffy. Now, granted, I'll admit I'm making opinions based on the supported legislation or the sponsored, the stuff that these people bring to the table. But I mean, that's what they really believe in. Those are their priorities. So sure, they might vote for something to help out the big banks. There's this guy, taking money from PricewaterhouseCoopers. That might be a sort of, kind of thing. But wait, Sean Duffy. Do I have to go back here? Well, I'll just look up congress.gov. So here I go to opensecrets.org and congress.gov. You can just quickly look up a member like Sean Duffy. This person, funny enough, so he brought up a few pieces of legislation. They're very important. Let me just get to bill type, bills. Aha, here we go. Pro Mesa. So this here is it's basically the Puerto Rican bailout kind of thing, but it's not so much like the money, like government just throwing money at them, but instead it's like a capitalist solution for its recession. Now, granted, I don't always like capitalism, but you know what? If it has restrictions, then I'm fine with it. For instance, first minimum wage in Puerto Rico. Chapter B here. The governor of Puerto Rico, subject to the Financial Oversight and Management Board established by this whole thing, may designate... Oh, I get it. So it's Prom-S, right? Is that... maybe, whatever. The governor may designate a time period not to exceed 5 years. So once the recession's cleared away, that's it. No more of this a period during which employers in Puerto Rico may pay employees who are initially employed after the date of enactment of such enactment wage which is not less than $4.25 an hour. Now, frankly, in Puerto Rico, I imagine that that's an okay wage. It's a livable wage. Maybe you live with someone else and then you can pay for your rent and all that. So that's that. It's look at all this. This is a comprehensive bill. This person, Sean Duffy, he did his homework a whole lot. There's also an FDIC Accountability Act, just in case they do something messy, And finally, Ileana RosLehtinen, who I briefly went by, so pro-Israel, you heard her before. This woman happens to be my representative down here in Coral Gables, or basically, I guess the middle of Miami, because there is the beach, and that's District 23, but here it's middle of Miami, District 27. It used to be 18, but now it's 27. So, let's see, PLO Accountability Act. Basically, it's like, hey, PLO, as long as you're not going to be terrorists or helping out the terrorists, then fine. We'll let you, be an organization on American soil. Just don't be bad guys. Venezuela defense. That's defense of human rights. I think that that's one of those countries that's having issues. You know what I mean? Much like, wait, where is it? North Korea, of course. North Korea sanctions and diplomatic non-recognition act. And then some of these other ones are, preserving public access to waters. So again, back to that whole agriculture, interior, infrastructure kind of thing. U.S. Jordan defense. So that's always good. So yeah. That's really good stuff. I mean, granted, Ileana over here, you'd expect her not to be too corrupted, given the, sure, she's taking lawyer money and real estate money, but that's at least that's stuff that's, down here in Florida. The real estate's booming down here in South Florida. So there's that. And that's that. So Marco Rubio, Rand Paul, those two senators, Elise Stefanik, Scott Tipton, Mike Bost, Sean Duffy, and Ileana RosLehtinen. All good people, all good Republicans who are helping out people, and this is still 17 minutes. Oh well. Well, that'll be it for this video. Goodbye.